Well, hello everybody and welcome. Thanks for watching. Today's topic is 10 bands from my hometown. I know that the vinyl community kind of does these the same kind of theme, and all the YouTubers try to do their own spin on it and show what they want to share about that. And so I'm not sure if this went around the vinyl YouTube community, but I thought it was a great idea. So here I am to present you 10 bands from my hometown. Now, I'm from LA. And so only about 100,000 bands came out of Los Angeles. So I really had to whittle it down. I mean, it's kind of like doing, 10 bands from New York. How do you whittle it down to 10? So what I did was I tried to stay away from who's the most popular, who sold the most records, who have you all heard of, right? That's kind of an easy play, in my opinion. What I'm going to do is hopefully share with you some bands that are, not on the top list of top bands to come out. You're not going to see the Doors. You're not going to see the Beach Boys. And why not? Well, because part of the reason is because I tried to focus my 10 on bands that had an influence or somehow played a major part in my life, or somehow I might have, seen them play live, or I have some kind of an interesting tidbit connection. So here we go. Let's begin. 10 bands out of LA, and hopefully I'll talk about a band here that maybe will be new for you to discover. 10 bands out of Los Angeles, and I try to keep it all bands that I have vinyl for and recommend a vinyl, right? Let's begin. And you know what? Also, something else about the bands that I chose, because people like to some people out there. Those of us who make YouTube videos, we know some folks like to nitpick at, well, they're not exactly from LA. This band is from Long Beach. Y quién sabe qué. I try to do my best about, like, for example, I try to not choose anybody from Orange County because I don't consider that LA. But if I'm going to go LA, you tend to branch out a little bit because LA is a big area and it's spread out, and I'm not going to limit myself by the zip code boundaries. And plus, too, like I said, bands that I consider coming from LA that had a particular bearing on my life. So let's begin with, why did I mention Long Beach? War. The album that I choose to represent them is War Live. They got a bunch of albums out there. Now, why did I choose War? Because I grew up listening to these guys. These guys were on the radio. These guys were on my cassette player in my lowrider. These guys were on my cassette at home and on my turntable. So, I played them. They are a part of the soundtrack of my life. They branched that great combination of Latino vibe, Chicano vibe in particular, and African American music. Put it together, or African American vibe, however you want to classify it, maybe soul. But they brought together that Latino black sound that is in and of itself its own particular kind of genre. And War just played such a big part of my life. My friends' big brothers were playing War when I was growing up, all right? They were listening to me and Baby Brother and Cisco Kid, and my family was playing them. And so large part of my life. Album that I chose, War Live, because it's a great reproduction of their sound. And in particular, I love the versions of All Day Music and Bayero on this album. Wonderful. All right. So this entire video is not to talk about War. Let's go on to the next album. This album, next band out of Los Angeles, the Plimsouls. What's their connection to me? during the 80s, during the Sunset, Hollywood Sunset Strip, punk new wave band, new music movement at the Whiskey and the Roxy and the Starwood and so many other clubs, the Plimsolls are one of the top bands to be playing in that circle. And they were one of my favorites. Great party band, great club band, great live band, great dance band, fantastic vibe. Every time I saw them playing somewhere, I tried to make it a point to run out and see them. They were great. I really don't think that the vinyls, the LP studio work ever captured. They're one of those bands that, the studio work just doesn't capture what they were like live. These guys were great live. Now, at some point early in the Plimsolls' career, Peter Case got approached by all those record executives who said, "You don't need that band. Break out on your own and be your own solo artist." Well, he bit and he ran off to be a solo artist, and neither the Plimsolls nor Case were ever heard from again. At least not by me. All right. Next up, another band to come out of Los Angeles and out of my 80s experience, Missing Persons. They were a husband and wife team, Dale and Terry Bozzio, the drummer and the singer. Of course, they went far because her as a front woman singing played up the sexiness part, which I did not resist. She's very hot. And the music was great. It fit right into that early 80s new wave sound that was coming out. This is what I chose, their original 4-song EP. You probably remember Missing Persons from Walking in LA, Nobody Walks in LA, Destination Unknown, Words, What Are Words For, Windows. They had quite a few big hits. I saw them play live as well. They were always on my favorite radio station at the time, which was K-Rock out in Pasadena, KROQ, and they were on heavy rotation in the play, and I loved them. And I went out to see them play live as well. So Missing Persons there. The Go-Go's, Beauty and the Beat, their debut LP, they came out right around that same time that punk was exploding, new wave was being birthed, and the Go-Go's, here we are. Belinda Carlisle, quick trivia, was in the original lineup. She was originally in the Germs. So she's got that connection to the little bit of a punk scene. And Go-Go's, once again, heavy rotation on my radio station. And yeah, I like their music. And so I'm not ashamed to say that, I was a Go-Go's fan. And they got played a lot in my pad, and they got played a lot at our parties. So there you go. Next up, who from LA? Boom. Van Halen. I was into rock and roll, classic rock, before I went whole hog into punk, before punk grabbed me, and I went whole hog into punk and new wave, and I kind of left classic rock behind. But you want rock and roll, baby? Right here. Van Halen. Straight out of my backyard, almost literally. They were being born right at the same time as I was graduating high school. And how did they get their start? They got their start playing a lot of legendary high school backyard parties. Well, here's my connection with Van Halen. I got to see them play at a graduation party that I went to when I graduated from high school, and they played the backyard party. You had to see them. You had to go to this party. It wasn't even my friends. We heard about it, but it was the rock and roll band that plays the parties that you have to go see. They're the best. That was the word amongst the crowd, and I went, and absolutely right. They blew me away, and I was a Van Halen fan from there. I still remember I sat on the stage. I was sitting on the corner edge of the backyard stage, sitting on the stage, literally watching Van Halen play. So there you go. Next up, the Blasters. These guys made that branch between the new wave punk and rockabilly movement. That was rockabilly was starting to come out. And so they kind of had that kind of country-ish, rockabilly-ish, early 50-ish hot rod kind of vibe. Dance music, rockabilly dances were big. And so I also saw these guys live, and I got to drop the Blasters because I listened to them an awful lot myself. I love their music. I love everything they did. All right, next up, let's take a jump in the years. These are in no particular order. They just happen to be the order that I yanked them out of my record shelves. Next in the order, Rage Against the Machine. I was kind of done with rock and roll, and I was kind of done with new bands when suddenly Rage Against the Machine came along. Blew me out of the water. What Tom Morello was doing with his guitar. Basically playing his guitar like a DJ scratch master is how I heard it, is how my ears heard it. And great music, great lyrics, right up my alley, politically conscious, socially conscious lyrics, great songs, blazing rock and roll. Tom Morello once again on guitar. And my personal connection to Rage Against the Machine. Lead singer Zach De La Rocha is the son of darn my memory. But my art mentor, Magu, was a member of Los Four, who were a Chicano art group that, a fine art, paintings and sculptures and drawings and so on. They were a Chicano group that became notorious actually by graffitiing LA County Museum of Art. They graffitied LACMA as a response to being Chicano artists being blocked out, and the biggest museum in Los Angeles pretty much only showing white artists. 98% white artists anyway. And so they blew into notoriety by doing that. Magu, one of the members of Los Four, became my art mentor. Magu was in the group with Zach De La Rocha's father. Oh man, his first name escapes me, but you can look it up, De La Rocha. And he was in Los Four. He birthed Zach. And here they came around to me hearing his band and absolutely loving it. And one final art circle story. I was in an art show, and the theme for the music of the art show was what the curator decided was to play music at the opening. The music was going to be selected by the artists, and everyone was supposed to bring CD. I was probably CDs at the time. Everybody was supposed to bring a CD of music that they want to play at the opening. This was playing. I brought this. And one of the artists came up to me. And we were all more or less strangers because we only met each other in a couple of pre-art show meetings, curator meetings. And one of the artists came up to me and said, that music that's playing right now, that's you. You chose that music, didn't you? Right, pegged. So there we go. Rage Against the Machine. All right, next up, speaking of rage music, another band to come out of LA and re-spark my interest in music, NWA. Straight out of Compton. These guys were speaking to me about the city I knew, the background I knew, the realism of living in a violent community that I knew, gang community. I did not grow up in Compton. I did not grow up with black gangs, but I grew up in East LA, surrounded by Chicano gangs. And listen, only the color is different, but the sentiment, the heart, the pain, the anger, all resonated the same across the color line, because those of us Chicano from that experience we know it. And that hit me boom, boom, right there, square. And I never looked back. I went deep into gangsta rap. I mean, I just loved everything that was coming out of there. There's a band that I've been trying to find. Operation from the Bottom, OFTB. Anybody familiar with them? If you're familiar with them, they also came out of the LA Projects. Oh man, in my opinion, their songs even better than NWA. I have them on cassette, and I have them on a cassette that I dubbed from someone else's cassette. But man, I've been looking for their music for their original cassette or looking for their original vinyl ever since, because that is some good stuff. Get a chance to listen to OFTB, Operation from the Bottom. That's good stuff. There's another recommendation, bonus recommendation of bands from LA. What else? Let's move on. The punk movement, LA band, one of my top favorite 3 bands in my life. One of the top 2 bands that I've seen the most live. X. From the first time I saw them, blown away, because I loved Exene's voice and Billy Zoom's guitar from the first time that I saw them. Once again, a band that whenever I saw they were going to be headlining, whenever I saw they were going to be playing somewhere, grab my friends, and even if I couldn't grab my friends, I went. I went to see X because I loved them. And just like Van Halen up on the stage, I love being up front on the stage, I'll be honest with you, right up there, crushed up front. I don't necessarily want to, swing arms with everybody. I just want to be up close to the band. I just want to feel that energy. And I always made it a point to be right up at the stage, right by Billy Zoom, because I just loved his guitar work and I loved to see him play. That guy just looked like he enjoyed his work. It was his life. That smile that he would put on and that wide leg stance. He would put on a wide leg stance and just kind of pose and smile. And he would have like that jacket, that glitter jacket, and he would just smile across the crowd and just blasting fiery guitar licks coming out of that guitar. Just love X. So I chose them there. That's 9 bands, ladies and gentlemen. I'm up to number 10. And here is the final, not the least final, just kind of in a way, though, the band that also has a very close spot in my heart. Los Lobos. They've been around music for 50 years. They've been around as long as me. I've seen them in concert, been up front of the stage of them. And actually with Los Lobos, I don't care whose side of the stage I stand on. I love being on anybody's side with them. They're great. They play the Mexican classics, the rancheras that I grew up listening to. They play wonderful original work. They play rock and roll. They play psychedelia. They play Americana roots music. They play even poppy stuff. It's all good. It's all brilliant. And it's a crime, I tell you, that Los Lobos are not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I don't get it. Some of the one-album wonders and the one-hit wonders that they let in there, while Los Lobos are like this at the door, what's that all about? So, let's get them in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, huh? Maybe a video like that is coming out soon. But getting back to my point, grew up with Los Lobos. I love everything they do. Brilliant musicians. Final thing, I thank you for hanging tough and watching all the way through. Final Los Lobos story, bands from LA. Just like I saw early Van Halen, I saw early Los Lobos. When I was at East LA College, which was my first junior college out of high school, I was at East LA College, and I saw the flyer for Los Lobos del Este de Los Angeles. We're going to be playing live at the library. or I forget. They're playing in some kind of, don't quote me. Somebody's gonna say they weren't playing at the library. I don't remember exactly where they played, but East LA College was pretty small at the time. There was only like 4 places besides a classroom they could have played in. But I kind of had the vibe, the memory, like it was kind of like a cramped, tiny place. But I went to see them play. And at the time, they were playing pretty much just strictly Mexican ranchero music. Good stuff, beautiful stuff. I could tell, anybody could tell. I'm not that special of an era of musicians. Anybody could tell these guys were just brilliant, world-class musicians. So I got to see very early Los Lobos play live, once again, up close. I was up close playing at East LA College. And so they've been part of my heart and my life for a very long time. One more quick Los Lobos story. Got time? Very quickly. I was going to go, me and a group of friends, we were all going to go see Los Lobos play at, I think they were playing the Greek Theater. And we went to my friend's house to pick him up, and we're all going to head out to the Greek Theater. And he comes out of his pad and he says, we got to wait because the freeway's closed off. The freeway we were going to take to go out to the Greek Theater. Freeway was closed. Why? O.J. Simpson was escaping from the police that day. And they closed our freeway down because he was on the freeway and we were late. We were late to Los Lobos because of stupid O.J. Simpson held us up because he was running away from the cops that day. So there you go. A couple of personal stories locked in with bands to come out of Los Angeles. Some of my favorite bands to come out of there. What a fun video it was to put together and to tell you about. Thanks everybody for sticking with me. There's a storm coming into us. Weather tells us the storm's going to hit us for like the next few days. So I wanted to get this video out to you guys. You can watch it. If you're going to be storm bound inside your house, watch my video 3 or 4 times. All right. Thanks everybody for watching. See you next time. Peace. Be safe out there, those of you who are here in the LA area. Be safe and stay dry. Later, guys.